Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die.
We are live.
We are live.
I want to first start off in the most holy name of Allah, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I would like to greet you all in the greeting words of peace in the Arabic language of Islam Alaikum.
Walaikum salam, ma'am.
And welcome to your Thursday night talks. And when it's yours, you do what, Brother Tony?
You want to subscribe, you want to share, you want to like, you want to copy and paste the URL and share it with as many people as you can, because you do not want to miss tonight, and you want to share this with whoever you can so that we can engage in dialogue and conversation with one another here tonight on this very important topic of our history, our collective history, beloved family.
And to break down his story, this is our story. So if you all do not know about your story, please tune in, please like, subscribe, and please share with a friend, because I am going to be thoroughly listening to things that I have never heard of and things that I have heard of and I need a reminder of. Because sometimes we just sometimes have to remind ourselves that we real black, for real. Because a lot of people be missing out.
We look forward to this very exciting dialogue.
Exciting dialogue.
What we need right now, more than ever, Sister Kalila, is unity. And it is through our dialogue with one another that we can find the things that we absolutely have to unify about. We're under attack.
There you go.
The enemy is constantly attacking us in multiple different ways. And one of them is through misinformation.
There you go.
They've been doing that since they brought us here over 400, 500 years ago.
There you go. Absolutely. And they start the attack inside the house.
Absolutely.
So this is the perfect opportunity and the perfect platform to clean up the house with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And with that being said, I am going to turn it over to you, Brother Tony.
All praise is due to Allah. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom holy praises are forever due. God is known by different names. Some know him as Jah, others know him as Jehovah, others know him as Dios, some know him as Bon Dieu, some know him as Olobdumare. Regardless to the name, we thank you for tuning in here tonight. I bear witness that there is but one God, and his proper name is Allah, but he is known by different names. And so it does not matter what name we call on him, call on him.
That's right.
And we need today unity among us. So, and we are told that the most beautiful names belong to the Creator himself. So call on the God. We greet one another in peace, Sister Kalila, but there's so many beautiful ways of greeting one another.
Absolutely.
We say Assalamu alaikum. We say Hotep. We say Abaragani. We say Frida Land. We say buenas noches, buenos dias. Greetings in all of the beautiful expressions of our people. Welcome to Thursday Night Talks, which is spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives. The 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives was assembled by a student regional minister in the Nation of Islam here in the 7th Region, which encompasses the state of Florida, the Caribbean, Central and South America, and Mexico. Our student regional minister, Patrick Mohammed, assembled us soon after the criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which took place on July 4th, 2020. And here we are, over 5 years later, still guiding our people to truth, saving lives. Tonight, our focus is our true history, how history is best qualified to reward our research. And we are focusing on the ministry. Out of 9 ministries given to us by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the ministry of education. As we are in need of education to reform us, to reshape us, to remold us back to our original state. The Ministry of Education is responsible for the mental and moral development of the members of the society by means of formal instruction in a prescribed manner over a prescribed period of time in a system of learning ranging from preschool through primary through advanced academic levels, culminating in the conferring of academic degrees under the direction of a National Board of Education. In addition to academic instruction, students shall receive teaching and training in the way of righteous conduct, decency, and self-respect with the goal of making a better nation of people. That is our mission, beloved Sister Kalila. And I hand over the introduction of our beloved brother who is returning back to Thursday Night Talk. And Brother Mark is going to be introducing him.
Yes, sir. Tonight's guest is Kaba Kamene, who was born in New York Hospital on Monday, November 16th, 1953. Since 2011, he has starred in several critically acclaimed documentaries, such as Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors 1, 2, 3, and 5, and 1804, The Hidden History of the Haitian Revolution. Additionally, he is the featured narrator in the hit documentary Out of Darkness and Heavy is the Crown by Amadou's Christ, as well as starring in Elementary Genocide, Black Friday 1 and 2, and Damon Dash's The Secret of Ballin' with Snoop Dogg, Ice-T, Wu-Tang Clan, Faith Evans, Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith, and other entertainment individuals. Hiawatha's voice, speeches, writings, and narrations have been performed in independent productions. The Ruby and Doom by Nehru and Doom, titled Om. He is also the featured writer and performer on Wu-Tang Clan's EP, The Saga Continues, track titled Message. He collaborated with Cache Music on his own 2 EPs entitled From Chaos to Order and Me of More. Kaba Hawata received his bachelor's degree in international politics in from New York University with a minor in Caribbean Studies, June 77. He earned his first Master's of Art in World History from Hunter College, New York, June 87, and he received his second Master's of Science in Educational Administration and Supervision from City College of New York, February 88. Kaba Hawata has been a Pan-African, African-centered educator, consultant, administrator, staff developer, and curriculum writer for over 40 years. He has taught in every grade level from pre-K to 12th in the New York City Department of Education for over 31 years and has been a college professor in the Black Studies Department at the State University of New York and New Paltz for 12 years. Over Kaba Hawata's long career in education, he has consulted many boards of education, schools, communities, parents, and student groups. His greatest experiences have been his many classroom visitations around the world and implementing successful strategies in the teaching learning process. He is firmly dedicated to the belief that culture plays a vitally important role in education, and he credits many of his academic views to his teacher, well-renowned educator, Professor John Heinrich Clark. Kaba Hawata is the creator, principal facilitator, and chief executive officer of the African-Centered Science Academy, Per Ankh, Temple House of Life. The Per Ankh is now a feature in the Kemetic Wisdom School at www.shockmetaphysics.com. You can get his free e-course and study guide at www.kabakamene.com. Kaba Hawata has written many educational curricular guides and collaborated with teams in the creation of many study guides. He co-authored a book titled Mi Amor with Kash Music and has authored a biography on the architect of America's African Studies program honoring William Leo Hansberry. Kaba Hawata lives in New York with his wife, Sharon, of 37 years, and they have two daughters, Sasha Madeline, Candace Diana, and one son, Heru. Their children have followed in their parents' footsteps and work in fields that serve humanity and the community. Kaba Hawata Kamene's motto is no distractions. Keep on keeping on. It ain't over till we win. Let us bring back our dear brother to Thursday Night Talks. Our dear brother, Kaba Hawata Kamene.
Thank you, family. Thank you very much. My brother, Mark X, thank you. And to my sister, Khalila Muhammad, thank you for all that you do. And of course, to my brother, Tony Muhammad, I bring greetings. Assalamu alaikum, family.
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam,
dear
to
brother.
you.
I'm just so happy to be back with you, to have this type of conversation, be part of the 7th Region's journey and the actual educational ministry for our people and specifically for our children. Yes. So I thank you for this opportunity. I thank all who have come on board to be part of this great conversation.
Praise. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Brother Kaba, we want to get right into it, beloved. So I wanted to ask this question last time, but the Creator is the best of planners.
That's right.
So I want to begin with this question here. When you work for the New York School Board, you are being considered for a position with the State Board of Education, but there were 3 conditions. What were those conditions, and why did you turn it down? And how is it related? How is your decision related to the lessons of history, beloved?
I believe that everything that all of our great educators, particularly the one that I give much credit to, Dr. John Henry Clark. I also can reach out to our sister, Dr. Shashi McIntyre, whom I consider to be my intellectual mother, as I consider Dr. Clark my intellectual father.
Yes, sir.
And it was in the 90s, early 90s, where things were changing in the New York City Board of Education. Political leaders, educational leaders, religious, spiritual leaders came together, and they wanted to create a pool, a cadre of up and coming young educators that they would bring through a process of becoming knowledgeable about what it would be to become the chancellor for the New York City Board of Education. I was one of the ones that they considered because of my work in cultural education and because of my development of resource centers in the Bronx. And so that was my entry into this cadre. But they gave me 3 conditions. They said there were just 3 things that had to happen. They considered it to be common sense in terms of who the chancellor of the New York City Board of Education would be. One condition was I had to cut my hair. Okay. I do not shorn the lock. I just don't. Those are my antennas to the ancestors and to the creator. They said I had to take my earrings out. And they said that I had to repudiate Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Wow.
Because they said there's no way that, because that's like the litmus test for most Black folk that try to get into the system.
Of course.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And no, that just the fact that you're giving me 3 conditions is non-negotiable.
Right.
I mean, you could have told me that I would have to sell my cats. And I would have told you no. There are no conditions for what we have to do.
That's
Right.
right.
Because once you have one condition, all the other conditions will flow through.
Right.
We have to stand on our square. We have to believe in what we're doing. And my perspective is that if I am of the talent that you believe I could fulfill the job, then don't tell me how to do it. Because you could do it yourself if you knew how to do it, and you're going to put conditions on me.
Facts.
So I mean, it was non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable.
Non-negotiable. And so but there's another side to it also, which I think is very important, which leads us to where we are now.
Yes, sir.
When I spoke to Professor John Henry Clark, Dr. Clark told me, he said, Booker T, my name before I corrected it, we're going to have people with schools. We're going to have people with money. We're going to have people that are going to be able to build schools, the kind of schools that we need. But once you get the child in the classroom, what are you going to teach them? Okay. And so we said, you should dedicate your life to developing curriculum and then staff development. The curriculum you develop, you then will implement with the staff that you wish to teach. And then after you put that piece in place, then the buildings will have something to teach the children. The people with money will know how to do what they have to do. And so what I did, and this is, again, one of my later developments, was to develop my study guide. This is my expanded study guide. Brother Mark X had been speaking of the study guide that's up on my website. That is free. That is an abbreviated version of this. Because I wanted the community to have my roadmap. That's the other thing that Dr. Clark always told me. He said, you may not get to your destination. And it's not like I plan on going any place anytime soon. It's just that today is mine, but tomorrow is promised to nobody.
Right.
That's correct.
So I have to look into the future
Mm.
and consider what would happen if I were no longer on the physical plane.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he said, what you do is you draw a roadmap. Because if something should happen that the creator, the ancestors bring you home, those that come behind you can pick up your roadmap and continue your journey.
Beautiful.
So my study guide is that roadmap. It's where I'm headed. Now all I'm doing is I'm attempting to fulfill and keep on that journey of the road that I'm on, which is the total emancipation and liberation, spiritually, mentally, physically, and soulfully of our people. And so the study guide becomes very important. And that's why I have it free in the abbreviated form. But for those that would like to take it to the next level, the study guide here breaks things down so that people know where I'm coming from. Brilliant scholar, Dr. Wade Nobles. He tells us there's a difference between content and intent.
Mhm.
Content is what you teach. Intent is how you teach it.
Mhm. Mhm.
There is a Moorish proverb that says, when you set out to learn something and you learn it, what you learned, you can put to the side because it was the process of learning it that was the greatest education.
Mm. Mm.
And what I've learned and I've put into the book is brain anatomy. We have to understand brain anatomy. And an aspect of brain anatomy is to understand basic things. And one basic thing to understand is the fact that you have two very important parts of the brain, the amygdala and the hippocampus.
Mm.
The amygdala is the place of your, is like the house of your emotions.
Mm.
Laughter, anger,
Grief.
grief, everything that you have a facial expression for
Mm.
emanates from the amygdala, which is in the limbic part of your brain.
Come on.
So that when you're teaching our children and you're watching them and you're moving through the process, one of the things that this system is set up, it is set up to teach the children through fear.
Mm.
You got to pass this test. If you don't pass the test, you're going to go to summer school.
Yes.
You see? And so in the amygdala, you're being taught. Have you ever taken a test like a nurse or a secretary or any walk of life where there's an entry test? And the night before the test, you get butterflies in your stomach and you start to sweat, you know?
Facts.
All of that comes out of your amygdala because the system has put fear in you.
Mm.
My study of our educational system, I know that when we had a test, I would give a test. Let's say it's just 10 questions to make it simple. And you had the person that got 100, then you had a person got 90, somebody got 70, and somebody didn't pass your so-called test. The reality of it is, from an African perspective, from an ancient perspective, what was important was not what you knew, it's what you didn't know.
Mm.
Right.
You see? So there was no gradation, there was no taxonomy, there was no categorization, because if you failed the test, your paper wasn't even up on the board at all. That meant you are a non-person.
Mm.
You don't exist.
Mm.
And so they've got this categorization, which now we call cancel culture. Because that's what testing is. It's cancel culture. You're canceling out the students that didn't grasp your information. But William Leo Hansberry said that if the student hasn't learned, the teacher hasn't taught.
Mm.
Wow.
Brother Kaba, I remember some years ago I was at a school. This Caucasian teacher was like, I think she meant well, but she was just confused by the whole system of standardized testing. She said, "Well, tell me this: if we're trying to help the students, why are they so busy trying to trick them? because like these tests don't make any sense. And very soon after that, she was out of the profession.
Oh, yeah. Bottom line with me, standardized test. They brought me to Albany, New York to help develop the 6th grade social studies test that would be administered in the state. They had an earmark of 1986 to do the first social, because for the most part, it was just reading and math that most students took tests to go on to the next grade.
Right.
But then they said, well, there are 2 other major areas. Social studies is a very important area, and also science. And you know what's interesting is that if you look at most tests, every question is either social studies or science based.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them somehow or other, whatever question they ask you in reading, like on the reading test, somehow is wrapped up in science or it's wrapped up in social studies.
Right.
And so when I went up to Albany for them to teach me how to write these, it's called an item writer, ITEM, item writer, where you write questions for a test. It's the same in all subject areas. They're called item writers. What I found interesting is they taught us not to phrase the question for what the child knew. They said, phrase the question for what the child don't know. So going back to you, Brother Tony, when you talk about the teacher that said the trick, education in the Western system is a antagonistic game. Okay. When I taught college, I had 3 tests. Each one was 25 questions. I taught a class on the introduction to Africa, and I taught a course on Malcolm X, 12 years. Malcolm I taught for 11 years. When I would be teaching the class a question I knew was going to be on the test, I told them, this question is going to be on the test. A week before the test, I went over the 25 questions and I had them answer the questions. My psychology is, I'm not playing with you. I want you to know something. And I'm telling you what I want you to know.
Right, right.
This ain't no game. I'm not going to play with you. Don't play with me. And so then I would give them the test. Now, what I did do was I told them, I said, this is what I want you to know. You just don't know what order I'm going to ask that question. So don't be thinking I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down to 25. And that's when I'm going to ask you them questions. Question 1 might be 13. Question 8 might be question 25 that I'm giving you pre. Because sometimes, you know, when you study for a test, you study rote. So the way in which I would teach them was, I'm not teaching you this for you to be in your short-term memory. I'm teaching you for it to be in your long-term memory. And that is the other part of the brain called the hippocampus.
Yes, sir.
That's the place for your, some people say short-term memory also, but the long-term memory, and people say, well, can you give me an example? Like I give you an example of amygdala, hippocampus. My example is, do you remember your favorite teacher?
Yes,
See how you all reacted to that?
Yeah.
Could have been your kindergarten teacher. Could have been your coach. It could have been an 8th grade teacher. It could have been a nutritional staff member that gave you your lunch, that used to teach you different things. The reason why you could recall that person was because your relationship with them was located in your long-term memory. In your hippocampus. You had Miss Williams in your hippocampus. You had Brother Tony Muhammad in your hippocampus. Because that brother brought me through something. And I'll tell you something else about your hippocampus and about favorite people in your life. The one thing that they always did is they made you feel safe in their presence.
Mm.
I often said that if Dr. Clark had been a basket weaver, I'd be on here teaching you how to weave baskets right now. Dr. Clark was just a phenomenal human being.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Mm.
He was a divine being. He was kind. He was considerate. But when he checked you, I often told people it's like a velvet glove coming at you, but that velvet glove encases an iron fist.
Mm.
He didn't play with me.
Mm.
He didn't play with me at all. In fact, there were times in my life that, and even he admitted it later on in life, is that he was trying to discourage me.
Mm.
Because he said, if you're in this work for hand clap or money, get out now.
Get on.
Because you have no right to depend on your people for what you need to do for yourself.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
And so those concepts are things that we bring to the classroom to help understand in terms of brain anatomy, the amygdala and the hippocampus. There are just certain things about the brain as a teacher. You have to, how can you teach to something that you don't know? It's like a brain surgeon not knowing the parts of the brain. How are you going to operate on that brain if you don't know the parts?
Right.
And I believe in staff development. There must be brain anatomy. And so that's the first part of my study guide, deals with methodologies, the art of study. I have a series, about 11 lessons on how to teach our children how to study. We always telling them, go home and study. But whoever taught them how to study?
That's true.
Good
That's
point.
true.
Great point.
Good.
There's an art to study. There's an art to reading a book.
Wow.
It's an art.
It's an art.
And when you learn it, the information is, you educe it. In other words, educe comes from the concept of to bring out.
Yes.
Teachers think we putting things in the children's brain.
Deuce.
Us here today, Brother Tony Muhammad, Brother Mark X, Sister Khalila Muhammad, and everybody that's on board today, at the end of this conversation, don't you think I taught you something you didn't know when you came in on the first board? I am not putting anything in your head. All I'm doing is helping you realize you already knew it before you even came here. So I call it to facilitate knowledge, wisdom, and understanding.
Come on.
I'm not teaching you nothing you didn't know. You were born with everything. And I use the example, I use it all the time, of being in a dark room. Can't see anything. Then all of a sudden you find a light switch, you turn it on. You see the chairs, the table, the art, the TV, the computers. Question is, did all those things appear in the room when you turned the light on? No, they were always there. Your light just wasn't on. So and the other thing is, you cannot turn the light switch on for them. They must turn it on themselves. But if you facilitate, first and foremost, to know there's a light switch, you're not in the dark. You're in the dark, but there's a light switch that can turn the light on. The first thing you got to do is realize that there's a light switch.
Right, right.
And then the second thing you got to know is how to move towards it. And then the third, turn it on. And then you see everything. It's called the Akashic Records.
Akashic Records.
Mm.
Yeah.
Akashic.
Yes, sir.
AKA SHIC. Akashic. It's a cosmic encyclopedia. But how could you, as a people, the Western civilization hasn't always been around. They're relatively new. Indo-Europeans basically are no older than 10,000 years. They came out of us. There's no such thing as a white race. There's no such thing as a yellow race or an Asian race. There's only one race. They are ethnic stocks that mutated out of the original human being. And so what becomes important as we begin to develop this understanding of who we are as a people is to bring all of these things together and teach it to our children, but to help them understand, you already know this. All I'm doing is helping you know this. And when we're testing our children, they get 10 questions, they get 8 correct and 2 incorrect. What's important from a universal perspective is not the 8 you got right. It's the 2 you didn't get right. Because when you find out what you don't know, then you find out and you learn what you don't know. So next time you get 10 out of 10.
What I would require for the Kaba when my students would get answers wrong, I would give it back to them and I would tell them, okay, I want you to go and research what you got wrong. And I need you to explain to me what the correct answer and why.
Mm-hmm.
That is teaching mastery.
Yeah.
The world that we're living in right now, and you're right, we're dealing with a people that they were just recently birthed into existence. So their knowledge is limited because their reality is limited.
Right.
And it is our purpose as educators to teach mastery and teach them to become masterful. They're too used to this decadent, limited approach to education. Our children deserve better.
Yes.
They need a new educational paradigm.
Absolutely.
And speaking of, I really want to go. No, this is good stuff because I
Yeah.
really want to go really into the curriculum and kind of dive in to kind of like the foundation that I know when I first discovered you were talking about the Moors. And it was so fascinating to me as a young woman trying to identify the origin of myself. And when I heard you and you were talking about the Moors, I just want to share with the listening audience just a very simple question. Who are the Moors?
My sister, that's a perfect question because that's why I wrote my final book. Who were the Moors before the Moors?
Before the Moors.
And I subtitled it Mi Amor.
Okay.
And in Spanish, Mi Amor has another meaning also. Okay. My love.
Yeah.
That's what the Moors are. The Creator's love.
Wow.
Realize exactly who we are. You see, and my brother, Tony Muhammad, it goes back to something you said earlier as to the many different expressions we have for the Creator.
Yes.
Okay. Well, the same thing happens with us as a people. You were telling me about your dad speaking about your heritage coming from Spain.
Right. Before the program. Yes, sir.
Yeah, before
part of my heritage. I have some that were brought over from the transatlantic slave trade. My brother and from the indigenous. I also have that. Yes, sir.
But you see, that's the key. You see, the key is for me when I speak to my Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters. I say, of all the people in this hemisphere that should know the Moors, it should be you. Because the Spaniards brought Africans, the first Africans that came here post 1492 came through Spain. Then you had the ones that were impacted by Portugal when the Treaty of Tordesillas divided the world into 2.
Right.
And it gave Portugal the half of the world, and it gave Spain the other half of the world.
Right.
You see? And this happened to be where it was. Now, what's interesting about Cristobal Colon, because that was his name. Okay, well, look at his son Fernando and Diego. What were their last name? Colon. So why his name Columbus?
Right.
Even etymologically speaking, we can trace back the fact, and not only that, but Cristobal Colon was married to Portuguese royalty. He was working for the Portuguese when he was coming to America.
Right. In fact, Ivan von Sertima writes about that in his book, They Came Before Columbus.
That's right.
How he tried to first make a deal with the Portuguese, and when that didn't fall through, then he went to the Spanish crown.
That's right, because when you look at the sliver that is Portugal on the Iberian Peninsula, they did not have the finances that the Spaniards had after the Moors of Granada had been kicked out through Boabdil.
Yes, sir, beloved.
And so he said, I'm going to work with the Spaniards because they got the money, because he was a very greedy man. Because, you know, Dr. Van Sertima says we can trace Columbus on the west coast of Africa in 1482.
Right.
10 years before he's coming to this part of the world. He knew that there were people here, and it was the Africans that told him that there was land here.
In the book, Lies My Teacher Told Me, I forgot the name of the author, but he references how Columbus had access to maps of the Moors.
Yes.
And how part of the Americas was already there in those maps. And so, but he was theorizing that that was India. And that's why he called the people here Indian.
Yes. Indios.
Indios.
In God. You see, when you look at etymology and you look at sounds of words and you look at the actual history and you present it to the children, your neurons begin to connect because you already know this. You already know the truth, you know. It's only when your emotions through the amygdala get involved that you start getting what's called cognitive dissonance.
Come on, brother.
And cognitive dissonance is when you know it sounds like the truth, but you've been embedded in the lie for so long, you can't give it up.
Can't give it up.
Can't give it up, because that means that you now have to become a person that you never perceived yourself to be. But that person that you never perceived yourself to be was the person that you were divinely born to be.
Come on, come on.
You see? And so with our children, and I think one of my blessings was to have been exposed to someone like Dr. Clark, young. I met him when I was 12 and a half. Some of my most formative years. And I remember the impact that he had on me. And I wouldn't say that I hung out with him when I was very young, but I would say that probably after I got out of the military, 1974 was when I really got connected with him. Before that, I would see him occasionally at different things. I would see him at different events. I might even see him in Harlem. I might see him in a restaurant. I would see him speak, hello, and ask how I'm doing, tell him, you know, but we move on. But the information that I had young, by the time I got into my later years, you can't mess with me now. And that's why I became a kindergarten teacher, because my first license in New York was early childhood. I taught the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds and the 6-year-olds. And I tell adults all the time, if you really want to know about yourself, hang around with some children. Because they're pure.
Yep.
They're pure. They don't say what they say to hurt your feelings.
No. They have no filter.
None at all. Because they can't, because they haven't learned to lie.
Right.
Yes.
And so being with our young people and teaching them, I give them most of the credit for the kind of teacher I've become. Even the roughnecks. You know, the roughnecks. The roughnecks sometimes are your greatest teachers. But I'm going to try to get this information to you somehow. And they'll give you a hard time. But then they'll make you think about how you can approach them.
Come on, beloved.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Like
brother.
just at lunch. You might sit next to them at lunch because they perceive you differently when you're out of the classroom.
Right. Right.
If I saw them on my way to the garage to pick up my car, and they were coming out of school, I'd stop and talk to them. Hey, man, how you doing? Man, why are you giving me all that trouble in class? You know better than that. And they laughed, they smiled, because they were a different person then.
They're a whole
Right.
different person. You're
Right.
absolutely right.
Get 'em away from the
Hey, what's
group.
up with you, man?
Right.
You got to know the difference between your friends and your enemies.
Right.
I ain't come all this way to be your enemy. I think you are brilliant. You got so much going on, man. Why are you going to go through all that? Because you know you're only going to put yourself in a position. Because then if you don't embrace your friend, then you're going to think your enemy is your friend.
Hmm.
And then that's your downfall. This is how I used to talk to them. And I talk to adults like that too.
You have to.
Because a lot of times we've never been spoken to like this. So many times as an adult, we're still misguided children.
Right.
Mm.
That is true.
You know?
Yes, sir. Dear brother, in your book, Mia Moore, and I think it was in the introductory part, you stated this quote. You stated, learning about the Moors provides an important key to unlocking our identity worldwide.
Yes.
Could you please elaborate on this?
My God.
Going back to what Brother Tony said earlier about the many different manifestations of the Creator.
Come on.
We here in America got all sorts of names for ourselves. I see on social media, people say, I ain't black, I'm African. Other people say, I ain't African, I'm a Negro. I ain't a Negro. How many people do you decide to divide yourself into?
Mm.
And you know, if we as a people can't even come to grips with how we will address ourselves, how are we going to solve our issues?
Come on.
Mm.
I tell them, I don't care. And I believe that in that quote that you're giving me, Brother Mark X, one of the things I say, it don't make a difference if you are a Negro. I don't care if you Negro. I don't care if you are a Moor or you call yourself a Moor. I don't care what you call yourself. As long as you know when I'm talking about this, I'm talking to you.
Right.
That's our bottom line. It makes me no difference if you're Christian, Muslim, Hebrew, Rosicrucian, Buddhist.
Come on.
Doesn't make a difference. Because the Akashic Records is a universal recording of all time and space. And time is history and space is geography.
Mm.
And we as an original people live in 6 dimensions.
Mm.
Our brother, Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum, in his book, Dark Light, talks about these 6 dimensions that we live in. See, the Western civilization lives in 3 dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
They live in length, width, and depth.
Correct.
Right.
And anything beyond that, they can't handle. We as a people, we live in 6 dimensions. Because when you combine and synthesize, bring together length, width, and depth, you then immediately go into the 4th dimension, which is the time-space continuum.
Mm.
Time is history and space is geography. So you have somebody that, you know, like you're talking to them and you say, I have a feeling of deja vu.
Right.
I remember I was sitting here and you said this to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, the Akashic Records says that it's like a book that you wrote.
Mm.
And then you read the book you wrote. And then you come upon a part that you say, wow, well, you wrote the book.
Oh. Wow.
So why would you not? You have existed throughout all time and space.
Come on. Come on.
Your energy has been around before the beginning began.
Mm.
Before existence existed. You existed. It just was a point in the time-space continuum where our mommies and daddies came together, and if I may just say, had a big bang and brought us into existence. That's simple what it is. We were always around. It was just that moment of conception that created our physicalness. It is believed that when you're born, your spirit dies, and it is buried in a tomb called your body. And when you die, your spirit is born again, which is resurrection. And you return back to the space from whence you came. That's why Black folk never had a problem with dying. That's why in Louisiana, with hoodoo, in the French speaking, you have voodoo. In the Spanish language, you have Santeria and Espiritismo.
Mhm.
In the Portuguese language, you have Candomblé. And in English Caribbean, you have Obia. And all of them are recollections of the Creator. And it's in every religion. It's in every religion, but it is manifested differently in terms of the way in which it's expressed. That's why my book, Spirituality Before Religions, did not identify religions. It only said where all those religions came from the beginning of time, when you began to develop this. And so time, space continuum takes you to a place where at your will, once you really figure it out, at your will, you can go any place you want to, long before you were born or long after you gonna be gone.
Mm.
Because you have that ability to be in that fourth dimension. And then when you get to that point, you get to the fifth dimension, which is you walk in light. You hear everybody talk about when they're at that near-death experience?
Right.
The first thing I was walking towards the light. But the other side of that, had they continued going on to the light, they would have moved out of the light back into the cosmic darkness from whence we all came. Because that's what all holy books say. It was dark. And then the Creator said, let there be light. When the Creator said, let there be light, that was at the point where human existence came in. But before the light, there was darkness. And don't let them tell you in science that light is the fastest thing, the speed of light. It's not the speed of light. Because everywhere that the speed of light go, no matter how fast it go, just before they got there, it was dark. That's why they made it light, because it's dark. Everything comes out of the darkness. We come out of the darkness.
Right.
We are, and that's what the book Dark Light meant. There's no dark complexion and light complexion. Complexion don't exist. Dark people aren't dark. Black folk are dark light. And then you have the varieties of different degrees of that darkness, which then becomes light. And then when you walk into the light, you then create gravity. And that's the sixth dimension, gravity, but not gravity as we study, gravity as it relates to, it places you in your time and space, and you become a cosmic being. You join the forces of Allah and Olodumare.
It kind of reminds me of that movie. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, Lucy.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And when they asked where she was
At the end, yes.
She said,
What you say, sister?
Oh, everywhere.
She was everywhere.
I say, my God.
Let's see, they killed a white woman to play Lucy.
That's right. That's right. But did you see who she touched? Remember, Michelangelo painted when God is touching the human, you see the hand on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see how they had her touching Lucy's ceiling? Dankman, the black woman?
Right.
Because she was returning back to her source.
Right. If you all have not watched that movie, it is a movie to watch and learn about yourself.
Watch it a couple of times.
Yes.
And how did it happen? Was that there was some type of magical drug, I think it was?
Right.
That drug, knowledge.
Come on, bro.
You touch the divine. There is a utterance in the pyramid texts, when you go to Kemet, there's a text, I think it's 287 and 288. They're carvings on the wall that's telling a story. And it's talking about the Pharaoh Unas, who is ascending into the heavens. He has passed away. He has died. And and these are the prayers that they carved on the walls of the pyramid text.
Mhm.
And this is where the Christian Roman Catholic Church got the Eucharistic feast from, in terms of eating the body and drinking the blood of Jesus.
Of Christ. Mm-hmm.
The utterance is talking about Unas is going to transform into a bull. It's a metaphor. It's not to be taken literal.
Yes.
Right, right.
It's a beautiful metaphor. And what the metaphor is saying is not only what happens when you die, it also says what happens when you live.
Mm.
See, a lot of people say that African folk are caught up in death, but we're not.
No.
We understand that the way to understand death is to understand life.
Yes.
And the things and the way in which you live your life, you carry with you after you die. And if you lived a proper life, you have a right to inherit the very best in death.
Mm.
And so, in transforming into a bull, representing virility and sterility and power and growth, that's what a bull is. In transforming into the bull, he then eats the bodies and drinks the blood of the gods. But it wasn't meant to be taken literal.
Right.
It goes back to the proverb we have, you are what you eat.
Mm.
So if you dine of the divine, you become divine.
Right.
In life, when you dine with the divine, good things, positive things, loving things, ma'at, when you live that life,
Yes.
you become a divine human.
Mm.
And in that, upon death, you have a right to become a divine ancestor.
Mm.
That's what they were trying to say. Don't take it literal. But even if because I was an altar boy and choir boy, I grew up Roman Catholic.
I did too.
I spoke Latin better than the priest did. In fact, a lot of priests would want me to be their altar boy because if they forgot any part of the liturgy, I could tell them what they're supposed to say. And so, this is my memory of who we are as a people. When you place yourself in the cosmic reality and when you live the good life, okay, when you speak the good word, medu nefer, and when you write the good word, medu neter, divine speech, divine word,
Yes, sir.
then you become a leader by example, not by what you say.
Brother Kaba, talking about leaders by example in history, in our discussion about the Moors. Professor Winoko Rashidi, may Allah, God, be forever pleased with our brother. He, for the Nation of Islam, for Mother Tainetta Muhammad, one of the wives of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I remember he gave presentations to her and groups of members of the Nation of Islam on who the original man is. He wrote about the presence in Europe in ancient times and how cities such as Barcelona were named after black generals. I'm going to emphasize black generals because the enemy tried to portray them as being European and they were not. In this case, Hamilcar Barca, the father of Hannibal Barca. Are this particular family, the Barca family, are these descendants of the people who eventually became known as Moors or Moros?
Yes. Look at the word. Ba, Ra, Ka.
Mm.
Ba is soul.
Yes.
Ra is the light and heat energy of the sun.
Yes.
And Ka is spirit. Baraka. And as you take vowels away, it could become Barka. Hannibal. You can see it
Mm.
and you can feel it. And another thing, as we begin to get into our languages, it's very important to understand sounds.
Mhm.
See, we get caught up in the Greek concept of letters and phonics.
Yes.
Mhm. Mhm.
I believe in psychophona, sounds. The letter M.
Yes.
Right.
It's the only letter we make, the only sound we make where our mouth must be totally closed.
Yes.
Mm.
It is the first sound a baby makes when he or she comes from mother's womb and
Wow.
placed on her breast. In order to suckle the milk from the breast, it makes the sound in order to draw the life-giving milk that sustains the infant when they're first born. First sound that we make. When you get a good idea, what sound do you make?
Mm.
Okay. When you taste something that's good, what sound do you make?
Good.
Mm.
Okay. And that goes for all your other senses. Even when something ain't right, you say, that ain't right.
Mm.
Yeah, that's right. You see, when grandmother has a challenge, she's thinking of something that is troubling her. What does she do? She sits in the rocking chair, and what does she do? She hums.
Mhm.
Mm. Now, why would that be important?
Mm.
In the Grand Lodge of Luxor, there is an area in the southernmost part of the temple. There are rooms. They've been numbered. Room 5 and room 12. And they are connected with each other. What would be the western wall of 5 is the eastern wall of 12. They're connected together. In room 12, there is an area that was a sacred sanctuary. It was called the Shittite Infant. SHTYTNTFND. Shittite Infant. It was known as a sacred sanctuary. And the reason why it was a sacred sanctuary is because you have 6 senses, by the way. You don't have 5. Thinking is a sense.
Right. A
Okay.
third.
Well, that's the sight. Okay, you have sight, you have sound, you have smell, you have taste, touch, and thought.
Thought.
6 senses. In this area, in the Shittite infant, biologically, there is an area in your brain, so that when you make the sound, there's an area in your brain that sort of kind of tickles.
Mhm. Mhm.
I do this with children. Children love this because they keep trying to find where that area is in their brain that's tickling them. Okay, but there's an area. That area that tickles. That's where your Shittite infant is located.
Mm.
And when that area, when you make the sound, it vibrates. And it vibrates in a very unique liquid combination of melanin and cerebrospinal fluid.
Mhm.
And when it vibrates in that, it takes you to that level of consciousness. And that's why one of the major sounds when you meditate is
Right.
Because when you make that sound, you start vibrating that Shetitan fin right behind your olfactory bulb that's responsible for your smell. Right behind your olfactory bulb, there's this area that vibrates when you make that sound. And it begins to take you to levels of consciousness.
Mm.
And that is why so many words. Just think Muhammad, Muhammad,
I was
Mm.
just thinking about that.
Mama, Ma'at. It's the
Moses.
sound. Muhammad. It's the sound of because you went from moo,
Mhm.
and then you hit a vowel that opened your mouth, and then you had to close it again. And then you opened it. So the
Yeah.
sound, because that's really the sound you're making when you say Muhammad.
Mhm. Mhm.
You're doing a double M. And then you hit it again with the second M. That's why there's a second M, because why would there be a second M? You already hit the first one,
Right.
Muhammad. Why a second M? Because making that, the person that said that word knew that you wanted to hit the sound a third time.
Mm. Mm.
You just did it again. You see, you do.
Does it all the
On
time.
purpose.
I do. Honestly, I do it all the time.
All the
We
time.
all do it all the time, my sister.
I mean,
We all do it. And it goes back to that first passion we had to suckle at our mother's breast, because that was our entry into this
Yes.
world with the security of our mother. And that's why mother, comes from the word ma'at.
Yes. Yes.
Mathematics comes from ma'at. Ma'ati, ma'ati, ikos, the double ma'at feather. Ma'ati, ma'atikos, mathematikos, mathematics. That's why the fundamental way that you measure in math is by meter. And that is why one of the most important goddesses or essences of the creator married to Amen is Mut.
Yes. I was
the
about to.
Moksha.
Yes.
So you got, but again, it's not so much Mut, it's Mt, Mt. The sounds that you make. And that takes us to hip hop and the beats. Because I'm doing work on a connection between the beats and rap to the click language of Central and Southern Africa, which was the first language that the human ever spoke, was click. Very consonantal. Very consonantal. I can show you that click language the way in which Beethoven played the piano. Another more.
Another
Wow.
more.
Wow.
I can show you how Thelonious Monk played the piano and the click language. I can connect Thelonious Monk piano playing with rap music and the beats. You see, my son was the one that hit me to this. Because you see, I'm from the Motown sound. Okay. Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye,
right.
I'm from Aretha Franklin, where words meant something.
There you go.
But you see, in rap, words don't mean anything. I mean, they may be subliminally negative, but it's the beats that make the song, not the words.
Right. Right.
Whereas in our generation, it was the words that made the song. Now, I'm not promoting some of the things I hear being said in rap.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, if we could divorce ourselves from that and just listen to the beats, we'll listen to phonons that can be connected to the original language of our ancestors, which was the click language spoken in Central and Southern Africa.
Wow.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
the Moors brought music into Europe. Wasn't nobody
sir.
playing music in the ice. Okay. The Moors brought the harp, turned it sideways, encased it in wood, and that's the baby grand piano. Because if you look inside a piano, that's a harp.
It's a harp.
Wow.
Yep.
We blended it with the kalimba, which is the finger piano, and the xylophone, which you beat,
Right.
and that's the piano. Nobody tells you that Mozart's teacher was a black man, Suleiman.
Wow.
Nobody tells you that his name really was Thoven Bey, not Beethoven.
Mm.
Wow.
Mm.
Excellent.
Alvarez is L, the sound of L.
Mm.
This is our history.
It is. And speaking of history, I want to still stay on the Moors, right? And I know these words will probably um it's not a thoughtful way to answer these questions. Well, thoughtful way to ask these questions. But however, as far as the evasion, right? Because we know that there was no evasion, but I'm just going to ask the question: why did the Moors invade Spain? I know that they didn't, but just out of just context, what happened to the Moors in Spain? And when did the Moors leave? Because I have been told that the Moors never left. It was just certain ones that left Spain.
Okay.
Can you expound on that for me?
I'll give you what my research has brought me so far.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And again, there's a section in my book
Mhm.
that I deal with the Punic Wars.
Okay.
Okay. And you have to understand something going beyond the Punic Wars. You have to understand that before it was called Italy, it was called Etruria.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
And the people of Etruria were known as the Etruscans,
Yes.
Mhm.
and they were black.
Yes.
Right.
You
Right.
have to look at the entire Mediterranean basin, 30 countries where black people were.
Right.
Black people were here before any other human being existed, before the Ice Age. They were here in this area. They were in France, they were in Spain, they were in Portugal.
Yes,
Wow.
sir.
They were in what's called Greece. They were in the islands of Manoa and Crete, and they were in Corsica, Sardinia, which is the islands off of Etruria or off of Italy, Sardinia and Corsica.
Yes, sir.
And you have to go back to the Ice Age
Mhm.
and understand that at certain time around 2 to 3,000 BC, the ice begins to melt.
Mhm.
The Africans that had gone into this area, give or take maybe 50, 60,000 BC, give or take,
Mhm. Mhm.
they went through a morphological and physiological change in order to survive in the ice.
Okay.
They lost pigmentation. Their hair texture changed because of an oil in the scalp known as sebum. The hair became straight. The nose changed because when you're in a warm climate, like where y'all are, in terms of Florida, where it's warm, like you want to breathe in all that great air.
Right.
The plants are giving off
Yeah.
that oxygen.
Yes,
So
sir.
your nose flares through
Yeah.
life history. Your nose flares and opens up, and so you can catch all that air. But when you get into the cold, your nose is going to become aquiline because that cold air can freeze your entire breathing system.
Mhm.
Exactly.
See, nature loves us. Nature is protecting us. Your lips become small.
Mm.
If you were to shave a gorilla would look more like a Caucasian
Come on. Tell the truth.
than a black person.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Because if you look underneath a gorilla's arm, it's pale.
Right.
Mhm.
The reason why is because the hair is what protects, and there's also a heat loss system when you're in
Yes.
the heat. So that when when we started losing our hair, then we had to create something to protect us, which was the melanin.
Okay.
We also had to create what's known as the acrine glands in the skin, which helps us to get rid of the heat that comes in the hot weather. We also have sweat glands. But the hair is what protected the skin. That's why the skin of gorillas is pale. But it's the black of the hair that shows you the role that melanin plays. Okay? And so that when we went into the ice, a well-melanated, kinky hair, wide nose, thick lip human to adjust to his and her environment had to become an ethnic stock. It had to mutate itself. In your hair follicle, you have an oily substance known as sebum, S-E-B-U-M. And it's attached to your sebaceous glands. And in the heat, little packets of sebum open up and send the oil up the hair follicle, and it rests on your scalp. When it rests on your scalp, it protects your scalp from the harmful rays of the sun. But at the same time of protecting your scalp from the harmful rays of the sun, it attaches itself to your hair follicle and it kinks it. It makes it nappy.
Yeah.
But in the cold climate, the sebum resting on the hair follicle kills it and makes it straight.
Wow.
Because when someone has very straight hair, what kind of hair do we say it is? Dead straight. Because it's dead.
Right.
But when you got that kink, that's alive. Kinky hair is alive. That afro is something else. That's your antennas. That's like an antenna to a radio. You pick up all sorts of vibrations.
I remember.
But it's not that straight hair is bad. And again, I want to be very clear on this.
Okay.
And I also want to be clear on melanin, because melanin, the loss of melanin saved us as human beings. Because we would have died in the north if we did not lose our pigmentation, because pigmentation acts as a covering. And so the harmful rays of the rays of the sun that we needed could not penetrate, because melanin is in every part of your body.
Yes, sir.
If it wasn't in your respiratory system, you wouldn't breathe. If it wasn't in your circulatory system, your blood wouldn't flow. If it wasn't in your heart, it wouldn't beat. If it wasn't in your brain, you couldn't think. If it wasn't in your reproductive organs, you could not reproduce yourself. All humans have melanin.
Wow.
Right.
No matter who you are. The question is not how much melanin you have. It is how you produce it. That's important. And so these individuals that went north, right, stayed in the ice, went into caves, stayed there for thousands of years, grew. It was rough life. And it created a mental state that is, to this day, we're still experiencing. They're evil. They're mean. They have no mercy because their environment was evil and mean, had no mercy on them.
Wow.
It would freeze an infant right in your arms. It had no mercy.
Wow.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in The Time and What Must Be Done lecture series makes reference to the Iceman Inheritance
Oh, yeah.
book.
Michael Bradley.
Michael
Bradley. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And another good book to add to that is The African Presence in Early Europe, edited by Dr. Ivan van Sertima, where you have scholars that will tell you that stories.
Yes, sir.
What happened to them? I'm not saying have mercy on them. I'm just saying understand them.
Right.
How'd you get that way?
Yeah.
Right.
How did you get that way?
Mm.
How could you do that? Even what we see today. Go and take food out of babies' mouths in programs that would have feed them. How could you do that? What manner of monster does that? But then you understand where they came from and what their experience was. you can understand some of them still ain't thawed out.
Wow.
They
Still
got
on ice.
ice water instead of blood.
Wow.
And so, in coming back to 3,000, 2,000 years, they come back down out of the northern climate, Germany, all that area, Caucasus Mountains. They come back down, and they come back at war. They ain't got nothing to offer the world. They just come back at war. And the Africans know this because they've experienced them before. And then when they get down into what's today called Etruria or Italy, and they get down as far as to go into Africa, northern Africa, then all of a sudden now they start these Punic Wars, give or take 300 BC, give or take somewhere there. And then it goes into the AD area. That's where you have Hannibal Barca.
Yes.
Okay. During the Punic Wars, the Second
Yeah.
Punic War. And his dad was also, and you have Tunis,
Yes.
you know, with Cartadas or Carthage. And then you had Morocco, you know, which was another great African civilization known as the Numidians.
Yes.
Okay. And so what happens is that African people are familiar with these Indo-Europeans that have come down. And word gets out somewhere like in the late 600s. Islam has formed, and it's moved into northern Africa. And word gets out that there are Indo-European tribes that are about to attack. The Visigoths and the Vandals,
Yes, sir.
they're coming in, and the Ostrogoths, which is the Gothic kingdom.
Yes.
And that's where we get the word God from. The Gothic kingdom now, the Ostrogoths are now going into Italy. So the Africans, Tariq, a general,
Yes.
sends Tarif in 710 to reconnoiter the area. Check it out. Come back and tell me what you see. So Tarif goes over, he checks the place out. He comes back and he reports to his general Tariq. He said, look, they planning on coming here. That's when Tariq is a preemptive strike. He said, before they come here, we're going to go there. And we're going to drive them out. And that's what they did. And then they went over across the Alps. I'm sorry, the Pyrenees. And they were there for a while, but then they were pushed away by Charles Martel,
Yes, sir.
who is the grandson of Charlemagne.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, but the thing is that what's interesting is that when you look at this geologically, the Moors were doing this for war purposes. So what they did is they put battalions at the foot of the Pyrenees on the western side of the Pyrenees, the Spanish side of the Pyrenees. And then they set up Al-Andalusia, which there's a mountain range in Spain. It's diagonal. It's called Guadarrama. And it goes down into Lisboa, which would be Lisbon in Portugal.
Right.
It goes along the coast and it goes across the Ebro River. So what they did is that they created like a diagonal place that they call Al-Andalusia. You know, and when you look at the word Al-Andalus,
Loose.
okay, luz means light,
Right.
andar means to walk, and al gives you a sense of spiritual.
Right.
So Al-Andalusia was to walk in a spiritual life. And this is where the Africans set up shop for the rest of their existence, and as long as they were in power in Spain.
Yes, sir.
They just centralized their power there, put contingents and battalions of warriors on the foothills of the Pyrenees in case the French decided to come over. They was in battle.
Wow.
But also it was because that is the most beneficial climate. Because when you go north of the Guadarrama, it's very cold. When you go south of Guadarrama,
We don't
Black
like
people
the
say,
cold, brother.
that's it. I ain't got no reason to go over there.
Right.
So you stay there. And that is where Castile and Aragon, Isabella and Ferdinand, that's where they began their plot to come across.
Right.
So by 1492, and you know, here's another thing about what we've experienced.
Yes, sir.
Every place I've studied our history, from Kush and Kemet to the Moors, to the plantation,
Yes.
to the civil rights movement,
Yes.
and to hip hop, I have never seen an outside culture able to come in and totally defeat us.
Right.
They take advantage of the fact in each of those cases I gave you, we fighting amongst ourselves.
That's right.
Yep.
Bo Abdil was fighting with his family. Hannibal Barca, Hannibal, the reason why he got in trouble in Italy was because Tunis, the government of Tunis, wouldn't send him supplies.
Shoot.
That's why he failed. He wouldn't have failed had they gave him the support he needed. His own people didn't support him.
He was there practically by himself. He had to recruit on the way over to Italy.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
And when you look at Kemet, okay, what was interesting is that when you get into the 5th dynasty, go into the 6th dynasty, you have two particular Nesebiti pharaohs, Pepi I and Pepi II.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And what they began to do was to give land to the rich and
Yes.
take away from the poor.
Right.
And what happened is that the people rebelled against them.
Yes, sir.
This is black on black crime now.
Right.
Okay, this ain't about them. And this is why we have to, in all honesty, where I am in my life right now, we got to drop it like it's hot. Let's not play no more games.
That's right. That's right.
Beloved
I
brother,
love my people dearly,
Yeah.
but let's examine our errors so we stop repeating them.
That's right.
But going back, talking about the Moors in Spain, they tapped into our original culture and how, just as the Kemites took knowledge with them and civilized the people of what we know today as Greece, and civilized people as far west as Spain and as far east as Afghanistan and other parts of the globe, the Moors took that same intellect, that same approach to civilizing people, and established a tremendous amount of libraries and educational centers there in Iberia or Al Andalus, and it changed everything, not just for Spain but for the rest of Europe.
That's it. That's it. And what we call the Renaissance are those Europeans that were smart enough to sit at the feet of their
Yes.
Moorish teachers.
Yes.
Rebirth, renaissance.
Yes.
And when we understand this, you see, my thing is that, you know, we can clap all we want to for what they did, but it means nothing to me if we cannot apply it today. And I think that because we've been told as a people that we have done so little, we don't have those expectations. When I was growing up in my family, the one word that was never used, was never allowed to be used, was mediocrity.
Mm.
There's no mediocrity here, only excellence.
That's it.
That's right.
That's it.
And this is, but we must exhibit excellence.
Yes, sir.
Expect it.
Mm.
You see, because when you know, you just do your thing.
That's right.
I don't blame anybody for the condition I find myself in. I understand what they did. I understand the evil, the problems, the lies, the thievery, and the cheating. I understand that.
Mm.
But my thing is, in algebra, when you study equations,
Mm-hmm.
you have variables,
Mm-hmm.
and only those variables are going to solve your problem.
Mm.
I don't blame anybody outside of myself, because if you give somebody the power to get you out of the situation you're in, you also give them the power to keep you in.
Mm. Mm.
I assume the power. And when people start talking to me about what I'm saying, what I'm doing, and how I'm approaching our children and our people who are not of my culture, I simply tell them, I ain't asked you for nothing. You're not a variable in my problem. And if you're not a variable in my problem, you can't solve it.
Hmm.
If you really want to help, go back to your own people. But don't come here. We must assume the responsibility. We know what happened to us, okay? And there's no, I'm not talking about forgiveness and forget and all the rest of that.
Right. Right.
Right, right.
Kumbaya, my Lord.
I'm saying for what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We learn from our past. We learn the errors of our past folk who, for whatever reason, did what they did. Okay, we understand that, but now we're not going to do that no more. And it doesn't make a difference to me what you call yourself. It doesn't make a difference what your religion is. It doesn't make a difference what your political party is. That don't mean I'm just going to let you in. But it means that I am not going to separate us, because that is what the devil depends on. The devil doesn't lie. The devil confuses. The devil give you 1/4 truth and 3/4 lie.
Hmm.
And sometimes you get so caught up in the 1/4 truth, you forget you're living the 3/4 lie.
Makes this truth and falsehood.
That's it.
Brother Kaba, with applying the lessons of history, question is, who are the Moors today?
We are the Moors today. That's why I say me a Moor.
That's right.
We're the Moors. We are the Moors. There is only one human family, and they are the Moors. Because when you look at the word M and you look at the R, in Medu Neter, the M is represented by the owl, and the R is represented by a mouth. The three gifts that separate human beings from all other life forms is knowledge, reasoning, and language. You acquire the knowledge of nature. You analyze it and reason it so that you can then take it to its highest consciousness. And then you speak it so that others can pick it up, and you create your civilizations. I told you about the letter M. Well, the owl is what represents the letter M. You have to ask yourself, well, why would they pick an owl to represent intelligence? Like wise potato chips.
You're right. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
The commercial where you have the owl talk about glasses, where now they can see.
Yes, Sister
Knowledge.
Kalila wears glasses.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. That's what you see me screeching.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. And so
I got
when I want to
balls
see
in-
better, I got glasses too.
Uh,
But I want to see the owl. The owl represents intelligence, wisdom.
Mm.
But the owl is not the most intelligent bird. So why would the Cushites use the owl?
Mm.
Well, look at the characteristics of an owl. The characteristics of an owl is that an owl can turn its head 300, close to 360 degrees,
Wow.
which means that it can see all angles of things.
right.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
Owl is a nocturnal animal
Yep.
where it can see in the dark,
Mhm.
which means that you can see wisdom in ignorance. You
Wow.
can take the best and leave the rest.
Teach, brother.
You see? And so our ancestors said, I would like those attributes. To be wise You have to see all angles of things. You just can't come from your perspective. You got to see it from all angles.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And you also have to be able to pick out the wisdom in the darkness. It's dark, but you can see.
Mhm.
Okay, you're a human, but you're divine, so you can see. And then the mouth is what teaches the information. The mouth opens up and teaches the wisdom of the owl. So mer, remember we spoke about the sounds, the M and the R. The M is the eternal wisdom that brings you to that level of consciousness where you can see what can't be seen. You can hear what can't be heard. You can touch what is untouchable. You can smell what's not in your nose. You can touch what's untouchable, and you can think the unthinkable. And then you can tell other people. And that's why knowledge, reasoning, and language are the three great gifts that we have. And mer is the formation of the word more. And that's who we are. We are the Moors today. No matter you call yourself Negro, you call yourself the N-word, you call yourself whatever. You're a Moor. So that's
Praise
where we are today. We are Moors.
Excellent. Excellent.
We are the descendants, or I should say the ascendants of the collective most dynamic human beings.
Ascendants.
Think of this. You wonder who your ancestors are. Who are your ancestors? Well, I have a mathematical formula for you. The mathematical formula I call e to the 3, the exponential expansion equation. And the formula, mathematical formula, because we ain't going to get personal, we're not going to get emotional. This is science, this is math.
Okay.
X equals 2 to the nth power. And I want to take you back into generations. You have 2 parents. You have 4 grandparents. You have 8 great-grandparents. Let's do the first formula. X equals 2 to the first power, your parents. That's
Right.
2.
2.
Okay, let's do the next one. X equals 2 to the second power, which is your grandparents, the second generation back. You have 4. 2 times
Yes.
2.
Yes, sir.
Let's go to your great-grandparents. X equals 2 to the third power, the third generation. 2 times 2 times 2, 8. You have 8 great-grandparents.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm going to stick a pin there, and let's say I'm going to take you back 20 generations. And let's say every generation is basically 25 years. That's how some people say a generation lasts 25 years. Then that would be 20 times 25, which would be 500. So if I took you, your direct and indirect, because remember, every one of your ancestors has the same amount of ancestors that we're talking about. So you got to multiply it exponentially. So let's say the formula is X equals 2 to the 20th power, which is 20 generations, 500 years ago. If I took you back to the year 1525, the question is, how many people came into existence to bring you into existence?
My God.
The answer is 1,048,576 people.
Wow.
Think about that.
Amazing.
Inside each and every one of you, Brother Mark, Sister Kalila, Brother Tony, Brother Kaba, and everybody listening on here.
My God.
Each of you has, if you go back 500 years, exponentially, you have 1,048,576 people that dwell within you.
My God.
Let me drop the other shoe, because I only took you back 500 years. How many
Wow.
do you have if I take you back 5 million? How many people are in you? And with all those people you got in you, if I took you back to the original moment of the Creator bringing us into existence, how many ancestors do you think you have? One. The Creator.
Come on.
Mm.
Come on. Come on.
The Creator has multiplied him herself in order to bring each and every one of us into existence. But if we went back to the original ancestor, you only have one. And that's the Creator. You are the Creator having a human experience.
Mm.
But now that's only half the story now. Let me take you to another side of the story to show you your divine purpose.
Mm.
We now know how many people came into existence to bring you into existence.
Mhm.
But now let's look at the fact that your mommy had millions of eggs and your daddy had millions upon millions of sperm.
Yes, sir.
But only one sperm can fertilize an egg. Of all the eggs that your mommy had and all the sperm that your daddy had, there was a divine purpose behind that one egg and that one sperm at that moment in time that brought Brother Tony, Sister Kalila, Brother Mark, and Brother Kaba into existence, as well as everybody else online. So now think of all the millions of people that didn't come into existence to bring you into existence.
My God.
We are divine. We are divine. And we have to understand this. And we must not, Brother Mark, when you were telling folk about my background, what my one thing is, my hashtag is no distractions. No distractions. Don't let them think you're alone.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Walk with your ancestors.
Come on.
And if you know all your ancestors, then you know the Creator. So you walk with the Creator.
Yes, sir.
We have to understand that and this is what our ancestors understood. This is what they wrote about. Be they in Nigeria, the Yoruba, the Igbo, whether they're in Senegal, the Wolof, whether they were the Khoi, the San of Southern Africa, whether they were in Southern Africa herself, whether they were in Zimbabwe, whether they were in Kush, Kemet, they knew they were divine.
Yes, sir.
And everything they did, they did to bring us here. And they brought us here for us to give birth to the children who are yet to be born.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
I've got a 100-year plan. First of all, we got to figure out who we are.
That's right.
And the last 5 words in my book were the first 5 words I wrote before I started my 5 books.
Wow.
Mi amor. Who are you? That's why I wrote the books. Mi amor. My love.
Yes, sir.
Who are you?
And dear brother, from that book, I want to just lift one more quote. As tonight has been very remarkable and very inspiring, so much. But I wanted to lift this quote that really, really intrigued me. You mentioned everything we touch is the same thing that the Moors did. And we have to understand what they did in order to understand the important role they play in history. And so I wanted you to just state, what did you mean by everything we touch is the same thing the Moors did? What do you mean by everything we touch?
Everything we touch, everything that we are, everything that we think. There is nothing inside of our brain that's not in their brain. What the key is you have to connect the neurons of the brain the way their neurons were connected.
Wow.
See, that's the key. We have the same brain, we have the same body, we have the same heart, we have the same circulatory system. But the way they touched things, when they touched it, became gold.
Mm.
Because they loved themselves and they loved each other.
And they knew who they were.
They knew that's it. And they loved themselves. The first homework assignment that Dr. Clark gave me when I was 12 and a half,
Yes, sir.
first homework assignment I give to everybody that I come in contact with, and I'm going to give it to everybody that's up on here now. He told me when I was 12 and a half, and there was 4 other young people with me. There were 5 of us, young people.
Yes, sir.
He said, I want you to go home. I
Mm-hmm.
want you to look in the mirror. And I want you to tell the person you're looking at, I love you. And mean it.
And mean it.
And mean it.
And mean it. And mean it. Love your melanin, the width of your nose, the size of your lips, the kink in your hair. Love it.
Love it.
And mean it.
Mm.
Because if you can't do that, there's nothing else anyone else can do for you.
Good God Almighty.
Love yourself. Dr. Sebi. I've been going to Dr. Sebi since 1988. I go to his wife now, Ma'at, and I go to his son, Victor, in LA. I get my products from them. And I celebrate Dr. Sebi. And Dr. Sebi used to always say about all the herbs that people got, and they would come to him sometime and say, well, it didn't work. And Dr. Sebi always said, you can get all the herbs I sell. But the first step in healing your body is to love yourself.
And your mind.
Yeah. Love yourself.
And the only way you can love yourself is to know who you are.
Mm-mm-mm.
You are the Creator's child. You are Allah's child. You are Yahweh's child. You are the Creator's child, and the Creator brought you into this world with a divine destiny. That's why it took so many people to bring you in, and why so many people had to step back. That other egg and that other sperm, those millions of sperms and eggs stepped back and said, no, this is not my time right now. It's their turn right now. And that's who you are. You are who they stepped back to be. So not only did millions bring you in, but millions stepped back to let you in. And also, here's a word for our sisters. Sisters, you are born with every egg that you will ever produce. Science. An infant is born and has every egg. She never produces an egg. She just goes through the monthly cycle at a certain age that brings forward that life cycle. But she's born with every egg. So now let me take you back to your grandmother. Sister Kalila, when your grandmother was born, she was born with your mother's egg. But when your grandmother was born and had your mother's egg, she also had your egg.
Wow.
Wow.
Predetermined.
I could take you back generations to the first mammal female human, Australopithecus, if you want to call her that. When she was born, you were born. I was born. I use the sisters because you are the ones with the eggs, but we also have the spermatozoon. That's why all humans can trace their lineage back to the original through mitochondria, DNA. Science. That's why in Louisiana, when somebody dies and they go to the cemetery, they're like crying. They sad, they mourning. They put their beloved in the earth, put dust over it, come up and go home singing when the saints go marching in.
Yes, sir.
Death doesn't exist. Death is only a doorway to another room in the temple of immortality. Energy cannot be created, nor can it be destroyed. You've always been here, and you'll always be here. But enjoy today.
And with that being said, I wanted to actually highlight your website.
Yes.
There's a lot of information on this website. Um, and I was really enjoying it while you were speaking. But I mean, it's from history to, I mean, so much knowledge on this website.
Mhm.
And if you all, and I mean, and even some things that are not even a dime, you can get access to it.
Mm.
And people are bearing witness on this website with the 5 stars and just, feeding this information into their brains to remind themselves who they are. And I encourage you to go onto this website to study yourself and to study your lineage as well. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And it's so funny. I don't even think that this is all of it.
My sister Kalila, you're correct, because Prince always talked about that, that he had a vault.
Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
I have a vault too.
There you
Okay.
go. I knew it.
Yeah, I have information that I have not brought out.
Have not released. Mm.
My God.
And the reason why is because it's a legacy.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
leave it for my family to carry on the legacy.
Wow.
And
Mhm.
and as you said, there are things up there that have no price.
Right.
But there are some things in life that are priceless.
Absolutely.
And I just want you to have this information.
Mm.
I also realize the economic position that our people are in. And I keep the price at a decent. What used to be a DVD that I would sell for $15, now you can get that for 99 cents.
Wow.
Mm.
Good God Almighty.
I'm not trying to make a killing, I'm trying to make a living.
Mm.
Wow.
And I believe that it's important that we present ourselves to our people authentically. Malcolm used the word sincere. I use the word authentic. The one thing that Black folk know is they know authenticity. Because people have tried to play so many games on our people, myself included.
Mhm.
So we know authenticity when we see it and when we feel it.
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
And just like I come here to the 7th region, I look forward to the future. We have so much work that we have to do.
Yes.
To do.
But every part of it is our divine destiny.
Mm.
I don't labor, I work.
Mm.
You labor when you do things you don't want to do.
Mm. Okay. A distinction with a difference. Yes, sir.
Wow.
It's good. And, I just thank the community for their support, because they have really supported me. And I plan on going on tour starting in 2026.
Yes, sir.
And I just want to go into the communities and use my study guide. Use my study guide to show our people how to teach, the parts of the brain, multiple intelligences. What is education? Because so many of us growing up didn't get this. And so how can you teach what you don't know?
Yeah.
Well, Brother Kaba, we do have to close out as we're approaching close to the 2-hour mark, and the streaming service that we use, it doesn't allow us to rebroadcast if we go past the 2-hour mark. So
And I want to keep this one.
we need to keep this one.
Absolutely. Well, it gives us a reason to come back in the future.
That's right.
That's right.
We say as Muslims,
There's more to
inshallah,
cover.
God willing.
Inshallah.
There's more to cover.
Absolutely. So, my brother, thank you. We're very honored by your presence and your
Absolutely.
knowledge that you give to. I got one of my books that I've ordered, Shabaka Stone, and I'm looking forward to going through this and the Moors before the Moors that's coming Saturday. I don't know why I'm getting it in 2 different days, but I look forward to reading your
I got to
beautiful
get that
book.
Mia Moore.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Same here.
The Moore book is on Amazon for now,
It's
Yes,
on
sir.
but
Okay.
all of my other books are up on my site.
Okay,
Yes.
And I
I'll go
always
to your site.
recommend, if you go to my site, I get paid.
Yeah, I'm going to
Yes,
your
sir.
site.
You know,
We're
so
going to
all
your
my
site.
other books, study guide, everything else is up on my site on Gumroad,
Okay.
kabakamene.com.
Well,
So and it's the same price,
Okay.
we're going to be
and
supportive.
I sign it.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
And you sign it. All right.
all right.
Let's do it.
But beloved family, so we do have to close out, and of course, we also need your support. And so, whatever you're able to donate here tonight, so that we can continue broadcasting these wonderful and awesome interviews and conversations that are all geared towards saving lives, please make a donation here tonight. $ 7th Region Coalition 29, and that's on Cash App. And we thank you. We thank you for whatever you're able to give tonight or anytime in the future. And whatever you have given, we're very grateful. May Allah God continue to bless you all and your families.
All right. Well, assalamu alaikum. You welcome, Brother Chad. And
That's the student minister out of Tampa, Muhammad Mas, number 47. Thank you for your support, Brother Chad. Always, always.
Always here, bro.
all right. Well, stay tuned next week. And inshallah, we will be seeing you all soon.
Inshallah.
All right.
Oh, Sister Khalila, wait a minute. Don't close out. Sister Akila, one thing real quick. Thank you for joining us, dear sister. I do have the page that you requested from last week. Student Minister William did send me a text. It's on page 47 of Closing the Gap. It's in that section on the price of redemption. So please check that out, my sister. All right, now we can close out, Sister Khalila.
Right.
Sister Akila commenting.
Well, may God continue to bless you with the light of understanding as we leave you, as we came in the greedy words of peace in the Arabic language of Isam Linkum.
Walaikum salam.
Mm.
Mm.